Opinion Nation, can you afford the American dream? As in, can you afford a home, a car, a vacation or two every year? You know, like back in the day.
Never in history has the American family known such well-being.
A standard of living beyond the wildest dreams of anyone who lived a half-century ago.
That was back in the 1950s, but of course it's 2018, and the answer ought to be a resounding yes, because the economy in 2018 is booming. Unemployment is at 3.8%, wages are up slightly, yet young people are not snapping up homes with white picket fences. According to the Census Bureau, 64% of us own homes, a percentage that's held steady for the last 2 years. And millennial home ownership, it's tanking, at least in urban areas. Why? Well, CNBC says it's tough to find that starter home. And in America's big cities, housing prices are insane. The median price of a home in San Francisco is $1.6 million. That's bonkers. In Los Angeles County, it's $585,000. In Phoenix, it's $260,000. In Seattle, it's $777,000. And according to Zillow, the median listed price in Pittsburgh is $219,000. And home prices are expected to rise there by nearly 8% next year. Opinion Nation, can you afford the American dream? Please join the conversation with me. With me now is senior economic analyst for Bankrate.com, Mark Hamrick, conservative commentator Carrie Sheffield, and political commentator Ben Kissel. Welcome to all of you. Mark, I want to start with you because are people better able to buy homes now that the economy is booming?
Well, certainly we've seen improving trends since the financial crisis and Great Recession. But as we sit here and talk about this, there are two major dynamics, and you alluded to them setting this up, that are making it more difficult. That is rising home prices across the country and rising financing costs, higher mortgage rates. And probably, at least in the near term, neither of those trends are going to stop anytime soon, we think. The other problem is that wage growth has been lackluster. That's been the single most disappointing aspect of this roughly 9-year-old economic expansion. So with wage growth being low, affordability being, through the roof, so to speak, we've got some problems out there.
Mm-hmm. Carrie, do you agree?
Well, I think if you look more recently, so specifically, literally in today's Wall Street Journal, there is reporting from a regular study by the University of Michigan looking at consumer confidence, and they do it by income percentile. And they showed that the bottom 30% has seen an 11% increase in their positive feelings and their positive consumer sentiment toward the economy, whereas interestingly, the top 30% actually saw an 8% downward slide. You also saw from Harvard University, their analysis looking at data from the U.S. Census Bureau, they showed that home ownership actually ticked up for the first time last year, and that was, or in 2016, whereas from 2007 to 15, there was a decline of ownership about 150,000 annually during that period. So we're actually seeing some great momentum. We're starting to see the engine being revved up. So as a millennial on the panel, I think when we're talking about urbanization, I think that's a general trend where we see younger people moving to cities. Maybe they went to college, but I think that a lot of them, I grew up though in red state America, I think a lot of them are going to start coming back home and maybe go where it is a little bit more affordable, and hopefully maybe they'll pick up some of those red state
that's
values.
What I thought. I think, I'm in Los Angeles where home prices are like insane, and but then I checked out Pittsburgh, and the median list price for a home there is $219,000, and that's something I wouldn't have expected.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, I think we have to deal with the American dream as a concept, right? And what we're losing right now is the American identity. A lot of people just don't know what their role is in this society. That's why we have a situation where now 45% of Americans are for a universal basic income, which is up huge amounts in the past 10 years. So I think there's a lot of folks out there in this confidence-based economy that are just wondering, like, what is the American dream. How do I achieve it? Even if you have, everyone has an iPhone, we're technically doing better than ever in many, many ways. But emotionally and just overall as a society, I do think there is there's a feeling of what is our role, what's happening right now, and I think that's really...
So that's interesting. So, Mark, maybe the American dream has just changed, and that's why more people aren't scurrying to buy a home, right? Owning a house, maybe that's not part of the American dream anymore. Owning a car, you know, we have Uber now. A lot of people don't even want to get into their own cars to drive. They want to travel still, but it's more than a vacation. They want to spend a month in a different country. So maybe it's just different.
Absolutely. Consumers have shown in recent years that they're interested in more experiences than owning things. And don't forget, that so-called American dream can be a nightmare if you're in a home that you truly can't afford. We saw that 10 years ago. It didn't end well. But I do think, number one, we get more supply of homes in this country if builders can build more, and they're moving in that direction. We saw some data on that just today. I think we will see some improvement. That's as long as the broader so-called macro economy continues to do well. We get a little wage growth in there too.
So Carrie, you're a millennial, and I mean, I'm sure you remember the housing bust, right? So is that still freaking a lot of your generation out, and is that why more millennials aren't buying homes?
Well, I think a big part of why we're not is because of student debt. And I think that when we're talking about the American dream, I think historically there's this perception that we basically have created a two-tiered society where if you go to college or don't go to college, it's sort of the one cap or the other cap. I think that needs to go away. I don't think that you have to go to college to be a tremendously successful and productive individual, that you can see, you know, robust demand for your skills. You can learn a lot on the job. You can go to coding academy for 3 months or 6 months and earn $90,000 versus saddling yourself up with a lot of debt for a job that or for a degree that is probably going to be obsolete. You know, a coding academy is a lot more useful than, you know, maybe a traditional study or computer science degree. So.
Well, I will take one issue with that. Many studies have shown that a college education, you get paid more. You just do. People pay college graduates more. But I get what you're saying, Carrie. You don't need to go to college to make a good wage. But, you know, if you're making $40,000 to $50,000 a year, you're not going to likely be able to afford a home either, right, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely not. I will say there are new economies all over the place. With technology, there are people, I have a friend named Holden McNeely who makes a full living sitting on his duff playing video games on Twitch. And so there are new economies all over the place, and there are a lot of different opportunities out there that never were thought about, that weren't thought about as of 4 years ago, but are now new realities for individuals. So there is a lot of positivity, and I do want to point that out as well. Despite the fact that it does seem like it's difficult, we're sort of the Titanic shifting gears, and it takes a while to pivot.
Okay, well, I wish we could continue, but I'm out of time. Ben Kissel, Mark Hammer, Carrie Sheffield, thanks to all of you. I'll be back in a second.